Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over the dangers and concerns regarding Project 2025, and former President Donald Trump claims that he does not know who is behind Project 2025. He completely rejects it. But apparently there are 140 people who worked for Trump and his administration who are involved. So in this video, I'm just going to be explaining Project 2025. I'm not going to be saying if this is true or not because I truly do not know. But I do think this could be one of two things. Either Trump is lying, or it's basically fear-mongering from the left and the DNC. But Trump has made it clear that he fully opposes Project 2025, he rejects it, and he has no idea who is behind it. So basically, if you don't know what this is, it's basically an extreme far-right agenda that would be put into place and implemented if Donald Trump wins re-election. But according to Donald Trump, he is focusing on, obviously, Agenda 47, and he has nothing to do with Project 2025. Let's get into it, and here are some, background information on Project 2025. I believe it's from the Heritage Foundation, and it's, has been releasing its mandate for leadership. 2022, Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts launched Project 2025 to support the 2024 Republican presidential nominee with a personnel database and ideological framework following resistance from civil servants during Trump's presidency, bureaucratic maneuvers to obstruct policies. So everything I just said right now is coming from the left's argument. This is basically a leftist point of view, which is what basically I just mentioned. Now, what people on the right are saying is that this is not true, this is not going to happen, and it's basically another, fear-mongering coming from the left, and Donald Trump opposes Project 2025. And we're not going to be going over every single thing because there's actually 920 pages, and they talk about mandating stuff. But prior to Trump becoming the presumptive nominee in March of 2024, the original plan was for whoever was the Republican nominee in general, but not entirely specifically for Donald Trump. And because he is a nominee, they are basically obviously going specializing around him based off of the leftist point of view. But obviously, if you're someone on the right, you would probably say this is completely not true. Trump has nothing to do with this. Obviously, the Trump campaign emphasizes Agenda 47 and not Project 2025 as the only official plan for a second Trump term. But it's pretty suspicious because you have people surrounded with the Trump administration, formally. But some of the things in Project 2025, Trump has stated, and it's basically similar to what the agenda puts forward. For example, Trump talks about the mass deportation of illegal immigrants. For example, in Project 2025, it talks about concentration camps for illegals, which is completely outrageous. But obviously, Donald Trump denies that. I just want to make that clear. The project's, advisory board consists of over 80 conservative organizations. So as for understanding Project 2025, we have some policy proposals. For example, Project 2025 proposes a series of sweeping policy changes that would significantly alter the structure and function of the federal government. And some people on the left have argued that what Trump has done to the Supreme Court is already an example of Project 2025, which in my opinion, for example, if the Democrats had a majority in the Supreme Court, they would not be trying to expand the court. They would not if they had the majority. And because they don't have the majority, and Democrats are in the minority in terms of the Supreme Court, they are complaining that we should expand the court. But I'm going to make it clear. In my opinion, I think if Democrats were in the majority in the Supreme Court, they would not be trying to expand the court. And the only reason why they're doing that is because Republicans have the majority, and it's kind of a political stunt, in my opinion. So let's break down a few things inside Project 2025, because obviously it has over 900 pages that we just cannot cover. So from page 103, I believe it talks about how all public school kids have to take a military, entrance exam, while private schools do not, which is simply outrageous. Basically force private schools among people. But people on the right are saying Trump has not adopted Project 2025, which I think it's true because he only talks about Agenda 47, and that's the only thing that he is talking about in his, second term. And people on the right also argue that this is DNC fear-mongering. That's all they really do. So, and it's not accurate. Let me know. It's up to you to decide for that. I'm not going to be putting in my opinions in today's video. This is going to be based off of what Project 2025 simply talks about. And on the question of if this is actually true or not, I'm just going to leave my opinion now. I truly do not know, but I just want to mention that Donald Trump fully opposes this according to his words, which we all know Donald Trump lies sometimes, so maybe he is behind it. Who really knows at this point? So let's talk about some of these issues regarding Project 2025. So, as for federal agency restructuring, the plan calls for drastic funding cuts to the Department of Justice (DOJ), the dismantling of the Federal Bureau Investigation (FBI), and the Department of Homeland Security, and the elimination of the Department of Commerce. These measures aim to streamline government operations but could also centralize power within the executive branch. And some people are actually comparing this to what Hitler did in order to take over the government. And some people on the left are saying even if you may not like Biden, and if you are deciding to sit one this out, you should go vote even if you don't like Biden as your nominee, because Donald Trump can implement Project 2025, which would just be a disaster and, end democracy. Which, in my opinion, democracy won't end in this country, because I think there are pretty much strong laws in the Constitution that just won't let that happen simply. But as for military deployment for domestic law enforcement, Project 2025 advocates for using the military and domestic law enforcement roles, which is completely outrageous in my opinion, which could lead to increased militarization of law enforcement agencies. The plan also endorses the use of the Insurrection Act of 1807 to suppress dissent and target political adversaries, raising serious concerns about civil liberties and, democratic norms. As for economic policies, the initiative includes significant tax cuts and deregulation, particularly favoring the fossil fuel industry by relaxing environment regulations. And Democrats are claiming that these policies aim to reduce government intervention. And Democrats claim that these policies aim to reduce government intervention in the economy, potentially boosting corporate profits. Also, Project 2025 seeks to restrict federal funding for scientific research to projects that align with conservative principles. Many people on the left say that this shift could, deprioritize certain areas of scientific inquiry and innovation, influencing the direction of federal research efforts. And then as for education policy, the plan proposes abolishing the Department of Education and transferring control to the states. This could lead, according to, many on the left, to varied education policies and funding levels across the country, reducing federal oversight and potentially increasing disparities in educational quality. As for reproductive rights, the initiative rejects abortion as healthcare and calls it murder, and you can agree or disagree with that based on your personal preference, and seeks to restrict access to contraception, which Donald Trump rejects, by the way, reflecting a socially conservative stance with significant implications for women's reproductive health and family planning. And Project 2025 aims to remove legal protections for LGBTQ plus individuals, promoting a conservative social agenda that could roll back rights and protections for marginalized communities. And the last issue that we will probably be discussing in this video is immigration and law enforcement. And earlier I stated that Project 2025 wants to implement concentration camps, which is completely outrageous. And the argument that comes from the left is that Donald Trump talks about mass deportations, and that could be a connection to the concentration camps that, Project 2025 is talking about to illegal immigrants, which is completely outrageous. It's unhumane. The plan calls for aggressive immigration enforcement and the expansion of capital punishment, highlighting a tough stance on national security and law and order, with potentially severe impacts on immigrant communities and the criminal justice, system, which is completely an extreme far-right agenda. But Donald Trump, yet again, rejects this. As for a leftist point of view, one of the most immediate risks posed by Project 2025 is the erosion of democratic norms. Now, this is not my opinion. This is what, people on the left would say. The initiative plan is to replace existing federal civil servants with loyalists and restructure federal agencies undermines the system of checks and balances that is fundamental to American democracy by centralizing power within the executive branch and reducing oversight from Congress. Project 2025 threatens to weaken the mechanisms that prevent authoritarian rule. So basically, people on the left, or any Democrat in general, is saying if Donald Trump is reelected in 2024, that he will fully support Project 2025, and that Donald Trump would want to seek authoritarian rule. Now, this is not my opinion. This is what people on the left are saying. That is Project 2025, which you may argue that Project 2025 has nothing to do with Donald Trump. Also, many on the left are arguing that Project 2025 also poses significant risks to civil liberties and human rights. The proposal to increase militarization of law enforcement and the potential use of the Instruction Act, which would mean that law enforcement would severely abuse their power, and also the potential use of the Insurrection Act to suppress dissent, reflecting a troubling shift towards authoritarian practices. Such measures could result in the targeting of political adversaries, suppression of free speech, and widespread surveillance. So that's pretty much it. So basically, a summary is that people on the left say that we need to talk about Project 2025 more because it's scary and Donald Trump wants to be an authoritarian leader. But people on the right are saying that we should not talk about this because this is, complete BS and basically fear mongering from the DNC, and Donald Trump does not support this at all whatsoever. But that's pretty much it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts on Project 2025? Do you think that it is behind Donald Trump, or do you think that Trump, fully does not truly know what this is all about? One last final reminder before I end off this video is to subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss out on my content. Also, we have memberships if you are interested. You can find links in the description section. Press the like button, give this video a thumbs up. That's pretty much it. Thank you everyone for watching.